Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10 in the brand new CR7 Savage Beauty colorway. Now inside the box they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. For whatever reason, the string bag is different with the Vapor 10 than what you get with the Savage Beauty Superfly 4. It's black in color with black strings, features a white Nike swoosh on the one side, and your white CR7 logo on the other. Not sure why it's different, but it is. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at the CR7 Savage Beauty signature colorway for the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10. Now in today's video, we are of course going to take a detailed look at the colorway itself, and the Vapor 10 does look a little bit different in comparison to the Superfly 4 version of the shoe, so stay tuned for a side-by-side comparison. We're going to go over tech specs, take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as talk about how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more about this particular colorway of the Vapor 10, please stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. As soon as buy it now links go up for these things, I will have them posted on that page. They will become available pretty much everywhere within the next couple of days. So depending on when you're watching this, just click that very first link down below. And again, you'll find buy it now links with SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal retail price, which likely will be $25 higher than the normal $200 retail for the regular colorways of the Vapor 10. So with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway. Now when you first see this shoe, the first thing you're going to notice is this bright graphic on top of a black background. It looks like flowing lava, and that's because that's what it actually is. It's inspired by the volcanic island of Madeira, which is actually where Cristiano Ronaldo was born. So if you're wondering why the shoe looks like this, that is the inspiration. Now, in terms of the graphic itself, it looks really cool. It features a combination of reds, oranges, yellows, some pinks, some purples, and it does look a little bit different on the Vapor in comparison to the Superfly, especially if you saw my video on the Superfly that went up yesterday. When I have them side by side like I do now, you're immediately going to notice that there's a little bit more detail in the graphic on the Vapor 10, plus the colors are actually a little bit more vibrant as well, and I think there's a pretty simple explanation for that. When you look at the Superfly 4 and the construction of the shoe, they have to print this graphic on a very thin layer of polyurethane, which is technically the Nike skin covering for the Flyknit itself. There's just not a lot to work with there, and I think it's difficult for them to get the clarity in the graphic and the vibrancy in the graphic when they actually have to print it on such a thin material and then fuse it to the top side of the actual Flyknit upper. So for that reason, you're going to notice that on the Vapor 10, it is a little bit brighter in terms of the oranges and the reds, and even the purples and blues just has a little bit more pop to it. The black is also a little bit deeper, I would say, on this particular shoe in comparison to the Superfly. Plus the actual finish on the upper is completely smooth as opposed to being textured like it is on the Superfly. So that just gives the graphic a little bit more clarity and a little bit more pop overall. So if you want something a little bit brighter, the Vapor 10 is actually slightly brighter than the Superfly 4 when you're talking about the lava graphic itself. Now in regards to the rest of the elements on the shoe, they're pretty much the same as what you're going to find on the Superfly. You have a white Nike swoosh that has a bit of a kind of shine to it with, of course, a matte black outline for the swoosh itself. You're going to find one on the front and one on the medial side of the heel, and then a white Nike swoosh right there on the one side of the tongue. Your ACC branding across the top of the shoe in gray. The top of the shoe is black as well as the laces. The actual parts of the shoe that are solid black, it's kind of like a semi-gloss. It's not matte, it's not completely shiny either. It's kind of right there in the middle. And you're also going to notice that the finish on the upper is completely smooth, which is different than any other colorway of the Vapor 10 that we've seen so far. But I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the video. Moving on to the heel area of the shoe, you're going to find that you do have the CR7 logo right there, which is actually embossed on the shoe. It's extra material, and it sits flush with the rest of the upper, which is kind of nice, whereas on the Superfly 4, it's actually on top of the Flyknit, so it sticks out a little bit. It doesn't really have that same effect here on the Vapor, which is not necessarily a bad thing either. Still has that nice metallic silver color to it. The Mercurial branding in white going down the back of the heel. The sole plate is a sparkly black finish, which looks pretty cool. It's got blue sparkles in it. And then the studs are half orange and half white, with kind of translucent bodies, if you will. And then of course the last thing to look at is the insole, which is bright orange in color. Of course you get the gray rectangle there, which is kind of a signature of the CR7 colorways. You can see it says created to the exact specifications of Cristiano Ronaldo. You're going to find a bunch of zeros and a number 9, meaning that this is his 9th general release signature colorway. So just keep in mind, this is technically not a limited edition shoe. It's a general release, but it is his 9th signature colorway. So that's pretty much it in terms of what you need to know in regards to the appearance of the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10 in the CR7 Savage Beauty colorway. Let me know what you guys think of it down below in the comment section. Do you like how they look? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. As far as performance is concerned, the Vapor 10 is an absolutely fantastic shoe that's really been overshadowed by the popularity of the Superfly 4. If you want a more traditional Mercurial experience, this is the way to go. If you want something that is as thin and as light as possible, this is probably the best option on the market right now. In terms of what you're actually getting here, it's a one-piece Teijin synthetic upper. So again, a lot more traditional in terms of what we've come to expect from the Mercurial line. It's a thin synthetic material that is surprisingly flexible and soft despite how thin it is. Normally when you get this thin, it just makes for a very plasticky sensation, but this one is not like that at all. Plus you have an internal fused-on support cage, which does help with the overall stability of the shoe. Despite being pretty much paper thin, the shoe still feels very responsive and very stable on your foot when you pull the laces tight. Now in regards to the actual touch that it provides, again, being that it is extremely thin, there's pretty much no padding here whatsoever. It's as close to barefoot as you can possibly get in a pair of soccer shoes. It is finished off with ACC all conditions control as well, so the grip on the ball in wet weather playing conditions is also above average for a thin synthetic shoe. The only thing that you have to keep in mind with this particular colorway of the Vapor 10 versus every single one that's come out so far is it doesn't have the same texturing. Normally with a Vapor 10, this is the Lightning Storm colorway that I have right here, and most of the colorways have been like this. It has this micro texturing on the surface of the upper that gives it just a little bit of kind of grittiness to the touch. You get a similar type of feel from the actual glitter CR7 colorways, the last two that came out on the Vapor 10 as well. They weren't perfectly smooth, but they had a little bit of grit to them because of the actual glittery finish. Now on this particular shoe, the finish on the upper is completely smooth. There's no texturing to it whatsoever, which does make it a little bit more slick to the touch. So if you want a slightly more grippy feel, maybe going for a regular colorway of the Vapor 10 might be the better option. Whereas if you don't mind having a little bit less grip on the ball, you shouldn't have any issues with the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10 in this new CR7 signature colorway. Is there a major performance difference between the two? Not really. You'd be happy with either one if I'm completely honest with you guys, but it is something worth keeping in mind if you are a little bit picky about that kind of thing. More grip, it's much better to go for the regular colorways, or if you want a little bit less grip, maybe this new CR7 signature colorway is the way to go. Now moving on to the rest of the shoe, it of course does have a central lacing system with an interesting one-piece design. There's no physical tongue. The upper just kind of continues across the top. Now it's not truly one piece in that the material does actually change. This material is slightly elasticated and has a little bit of kind of stretch to it, unlike the rest of the upper where you're going to find that it's a little bit more firm, and then it does have that support cage running from the base of the sole into the laces. So when you pull the laces tight, it locks your foot in place and prevents the midfoot and forefoot area of the shoe from stretching at all. So this front part, or the top part I should say, will stretch a little bit, which helps with putting the shoes on as well as taking them off. And when you do put them on, you're going to find that it does have a nice kind of self-tightening effect where the shoe wraps your foot really nicely, and then when you pull the laces tight, it locks everything in place. So a really, really positive feeling in my opinion in terms of how these things fit. Not everybody loves how they fit and feel. Some people prefer the more traditional tongue design that we've seen on every other Mercurial before this one, but I personally like the seamless sensation that it has. You have no overlapping materials because of this, and it really does fit quite well for a one-piece upper. There's no extra material or extra space inside the shoe. You just get a nice ultra thin one-to-one perfect wrap of your foot, which is kind of what I think the Mercurial Vapor line is all about in the first place. Moving on to the back of the shoe, of course it is a standard low-cut model, unlike the Superfly 4, which does have the dynamic fit collar and is a mid-cut design. Features an internal plastic heel counter. The inside heel liner is a smooth synthetic leather. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done. Insole, mesh liner on top, perforations throughout, and it's just made from a single layer of this black foam. Nothing too fancy, but it does get the job done. And then moving on to the sole plate, you're going to find that it's made from a compressed nylon material, which might not look as fancy as the carbon fiber sole plate you'll find on the Superfly 4, but it honestly feels pretty much exactly the same. It's got nice flexibility to it in the forefoot area, but still is nice and rigid through the midfoot as you would want it to be. And in regards to the sole plate, it's the stud pattern, it's a Mercurial stud pattern, all bladed studs. Mercurials are pretty proven at this point in terms of providing really good multi-directional traction and just plenty of bite when pushing off, pretty much in any direction at all. And like I said, the traction performance you're going to get from this firm ground stud pattern on natural grass is well above average. If you like really aggressive traction, you're not going to have any issues with really any of the Mercurial models. So that's pretty much it in terms of tech specs and performance information that you should know about the Nike Mercurial Vapor 10. If you are looking for more info, you can check out the written review on my website, which will be the very first link down below in the description of this video. And I'll also leave an annotation on screen to my playtest video of the Vapor 10 if you want to see these things in action. One aspect of the Vapor 10 that I think a lot of people don't realize is that it's actually the lightest model in the current Mercurial lineup, even lighter than the Superfly 4 by a fairly significant margin. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 6.3 ounces, the equivalent of 179 grams. Now 6.3 ounces in a 9 US, a Superfly 4 in the same size weighs in at about 7 to 7.2 ounces. So these are almost a full ounce lighter than the Superfly 4, which isn't a lot of weight, but when you consider the Superfly is already a 7-ounce shoe, which is pretty light, shaving an ounce further is pretty significant in terms of how the shoe actually feels on your foot. Now, of course, the material and just the general sensation of wearing a Vapor is a lot different than a pair of Superflies, but I will argue that this does have a tighter fit overall. It feels a little bit more secure on your foot, and because of that, along with the actual lighter weight of the shoe, they just feel pretty much weightless. If you're looking for an extremely lightweight, one-to-one sensation from your soccer shoes, that is exactly the experience that you're going to get from the Vapor 10. All right, so here is a look at the Savage Beauty Vapors on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of black and red Crackle SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, check out the website www.sr4ulaces.com. You'll find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, for a very thin, tight-fitting shoe, they are surprisingly comfortable. Again, the upper is thin, which normally makes for a very plasticky feel on your foot, but these are surprisingly flexible. They're not soft or padded or anything like that, but it definitely doesn't feel uncomfortable in any way at all. They feel surprisingly natural in terms of how the material moves with your foot, despite it fitting so tight. In regards to the overall break-in process, they fit pretty comfortably from right out of the box. If you're not used to wearing tight shoes, maybe you may find a little bit of discomfort at first, but if you've worn tight shoes in the past, you're probably going to find the Vapor 10 very, very comfortable from the get-go. As far as width is concerned, again, it's a very tight-fitting shoe, especially because of that one-piece design. So if you have really wide feet, certainly not a good option for you. They're not going to stretch much either. The way they fit from right out of the box is the way they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. But again, if you're looking for that one-to-one, very secure, perfect wrap of your foot, that's exactly what you're going to get from the Mercurial Vapor 10. If you've worn Vapors in the past, you're still going to fit in the Vapor 10, so just keep that in mind. In regards to sizing, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Savage Beauty CR7 Nike Mercurial Vapor 10. If you guys are interested in more info on this shoe, be sure to check out the review page on my website. That'll be the very first link down below in the description of this video. On that page, you will find a detailed written review. You'll find high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself that'll give you a better idea as to how these actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding the CR7 Vapor 10, leave them down below in the comment section, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.